and we are streaming live on our Facebook feed. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. Please like and share that as well with your friends and family. And of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate a little later on, you can do just that. Our numbers are 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. Our WhatsApp number 724-0008. Now, before we head across to our history for today, just to let you know that our dish of the day is going to be about an initiative called King's Trust International and their work here in St. Lucia and around the world. And it's their celebration week. And we've got an in-studio guest who will be telling us about that in just a bit. But first, we want to send out some birthday greetings to Miss Leona Edward. Happy birthday to you. And also to Mr. Chaddy Fauché. Happy birthday to you, sir. Hope you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. I'll look back in time, a bit of history of the day. In the year 1666, the Great Fire of London began at 2 o'clock on Pudding Lane. And that led to about 4/5 of the city of London at that time being destroyed. And in the year 1864, on this day during the U.S. Civil War, U.S. General William Sherman captured and occupied Atlanta, Georgia, ending the Atlanta campaign in the U.S. Civil War. We now head across to take in our dish of the day.
In our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Of course, we do hope that you're having a very blessed Tuesday. Of course, yesterday was elections in Guyana, and tomorrow I believe it's going to be in Jamaica. And interestingly enough, over in Grenada, the Prime Minister there, Honorable Dickon Mitchell, has also prorogued Parliament. So that's a good sign that an election is pending there pretty soon as well. But of course, for our dish of the day, we're going to switch gears to something that is completely apolitical and in fact pretty global as well, and an important mission in terms of supporting young people all around the world, and it is called King's Trust International. And of course, as the name suggests, the patron, or the person who founded it, is in fact none other than King Charles III, and it's been ongoing since 2015, interestingly enough. And to tell us all about King's Trust International, I'm so very pleased to have Nachiza Masikini. She is the International Programs Manager for the Caribbean for King's Trust International. Nachiza, thank you so very much for joining us here. And what brings you to St. Lucia?
Thank you so much for having me. So I am here on this trip to deliver our celebration week, which is in partnership with the British High Commission and, of course, our local delivery partner, the Royal St. Lucian Police Force, because we had the 2025 King's Trust Awards this year, and the team program was lucky enough to have two young people awarded awards at this year's King's Trust Award. So we won the Global Young Achiever, Roslyn, and then the King's Trust International Sustainability Award winner for the Caribbean is another young person from the team program, Mikhail. So this week is all about raising awareness about the program. And then, of course, we are hosting a award ceremony here in St. Lucia to honor our young winners.
Fabulous. Now, let's back up a little bit, perhaps, and allow you to at least tell us what is the whole idea behind King's Trust International.
Yeah, so I can tell you a bit about the history of King's Trust International and then, of course, how we became to work here in St. Lucia. So King's Trust International was founded by His Majesty King Charles III back in 2015, and this was building off of almost 5 decades of learning off of our sister charity in the UK. We were formerly known as Princess Trust International.
That makes sense.
And then, of course, when His Majesty ascended to the throne, we changed our name actually last year to become King's Trust International. And then fun facts, this year was the first time we held the King's Trust Award. Our various entities changed names at different times. So King's Trust UK changed their name towards the end of last year, whereas King's Trust International changed it in April of last year. So we had the last Princess Trust Awards in 2024 and then the first King's Trust Awards this year.
Okay, so if the name sounds a little bit foreign to us, it's excusable because you're actually in transition.
So
you've actually just been rechristened.
Exactly.
Wonderful, wonderful. But the thinking, though, of course, behind His Majesty and the idea of setting up, why did he, back in 2015, decide to set up this trust?
Yeah, so it's really to support and to tackle the global crisis in youth unemployment, which is a similar ethos to why Princess Trust UK was set up.
Okay.
And that was done in the 70s using his military pension to set up the Princess Trust UK. And then, of course, in his duties then as the head of the Commonwealth, he obviously had, or His Majesty had, a lot of interaction with various governments, and they had seen a model that seemed to prove effective in terms of the work that the Princess Trust UK, now King's Trust UK, had delivered, and really wanted to see if those interventions would work in other countries. And then after a lot of persistence on a lot of people's parts, in 2015, we were founded as the international arms to see how we could take those learnings globally. So our mission is to empower young people to learn, earn, and thrive. And the main mechanisms that we do that is through working in partnership with local organizations across the globe. So now, since 2015, this is our 10th year anniversary, where there's a lot of activities going on as well at HQ. But now we've grown so much that we support or work across 20 countries and deliver programs in 18 of them, alongside consultancy work as well. And our main sort of portfolio works focuses on supporting young people through education programming, through employability programming, and entrepreneurship programming as well. And like the team program does personal and social skills development. And we either deliver that with our tried or our tested existing models. So like the team program also runs in the UK, it runs in Malaysia, and runs in Barbados. And then, of course, now here in St. Lucia. And then we also deliver bespoke programs with their network of delivery partners as well.
Okay, so you're taking a model which has been tried and tested, you could say effectively, in the United Kingdom since the 1970s, and you're trying to see if it can be applied in a number of other countries. And I'm looking at your map right now on your website, and you're in Malaysia, in Asia for sure, in Malaysia, in India, in Pakistan, in Jordan. I'm seeing Greece, Serbia, interesting enough, Malta, I can understand that one, Egypt, in Africa, certainly, a number of African, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Morocco, and you're also, of course, in the Caribbean in 4 countries: Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and St. Lucia.
Yes.
Well, I suppose what you should ask is how similar are the programs, let's say, in St. Lucia versus, somewhere like Jordan? I don't know.
I think we, as a charity, try to be really responsive. So we see ourselves as being having technical expertise. So as I would have mentioned, we have those tried and tested methods that we've learned from the UK, and then also through our global networks of partners, where we know we have programmatic frameworks and programmatic learnings that work within those spheres. And then we really rely on our local partners to help contextualize that, not only with their own technical knowledge, but their deep expertise of what works for young people and what young people's needs are on the ground. So, for example, like the team program, as I mentioned, runs here in St. Lucia
Right.
and runs here in Barbados and runs here in Malaysia. So while the structure of the program and what the aims are is overarching and stays pretty consistent, how we go about doing that changes because we like to be very responsive to what the young people need. So in example, so the team program in St. Lucia, we don't deliver a qualification, which we see that's delivered in the UK example of the team program, because they're more connected with the colleges and universities. So they have a designation. So the young people who graduate the team program receive something that's called the personal development education sort of qualification, which has translations within the UK education system. But here in St. Lucia, we don't deliver that. What we do is ensure that all of our graduating participants receive first aid and CPR training, because we know that that's a skill that will be required across a number of sectors and jobs. And so we like to make sure that those kinds of tweaks really reflect what the needs are and help support young people's transitions, not only into the workforce for the first time, or if they seek to do further training or re-enter education, for example.
And how long have you been working in St. Lucia? I mean, maybe as Princess Trust, but now as King's Trust.
So we actually started delivering consultancy projects in St. Lucia back in 2021. So we've been working in partnership for about 4 years now, but have only been delivering the team program since 2023.
Okay.
So.
And who are your partners here? How has that experience been?
Yeah, so our primary partner and our active partner to date is the Royal St. Lucian Police Force. So we work with the Community Policing Unit, and that partnership has been brilliant. I think particularly there's such a team of dedicated officers. The program is run in Viewfort, so we work primarily with the Southern Division of the Community Policing Unit, and it's led by Corporal St. Jean, and our superintendent, Victrin, is our assistant delivery manager, and then our manager for the program is Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Elvis Thomas. And it's such a dedicated team of officers and we have this shared mission of supporting young people. And that's been a joy, because when you bring people around the room who have a singular mission to supporting young people, a lot of magic can happen. And that's what I've definitely noticed in our time in working with the police.
And it's interesting, your partner, of course, because you're dealing with a law enforcement agency, and quite often the image of a law enforcement agency is pretty much, about strictness and, enforcing the law and putting people in jail. But I suppose you're really looking at how you can perhaps help individuals, how they can help individuals in terms of community development, community participation, connections.
So what's unique about the team program is in the UK, Barbados, and in St. Lucia, it's delivered in partnership with uniformed services. In Barbados, it's delivered with the Barbados Police Service.
Okay.
And they actually came over back in 2022 and are looking to set up the program to co-deliver training with us. And community policing is a really important aim of those services, because as you've mentioned, like the police have this sort of image where they're seen as only enforcers, but the community policing unit is really there to support the community. And they're the officers that are out there interacting with persons and really getting to know the communities in which they are a part of. And the community policing unit in the South does a lot of work with schools and deliver another program called Rising Stars. So there are a lot of synergies in terms of their ambitions to support young people. And then in terms of working in St. Lucia, so they actually approached us because they had heard about the effectiveness of the program in Barbados from other colleagues within the Barbados Police Service, and had seen that the Barbados Police Service had found that the team program solved their challenges that they were noticing around youth disengagement and youth crime, and felt that St. Lucia had similar challenges and wanted to see if this model would work here. And that's how those conversations started. And we know from UN level studies globally as well as in country that youth disengagement leads to higher participation from youth in crime, both from criminality and participation in violence. So very much seeing it as not only supporting young people into work, but as like a public safety and security measure as well.
Now, in terms of who you're engaging, I mean, a lot of St. Lucians, of course, would have known that even in the case of the south of the island, VA4 in particular, there's been a couple of years, serious issues in terms of crime, violent crime. And I'm wondering, are you engaging, this program is designed to engage people at a preemptive point before they end up getting into antisocial behavior, or are you actually also dealing with people who have already been identified by law enforcement as being troubled and are in need of assistance?
It's an honest mix. So in terms of the criteria for the program, so we support young people aged 17 to 30 and who are unattached, so not in work, not in education, and not in training, because broadly we see those young people as being at risk, because we know if they're not attached to anything, the allure of participating in antisocial behavior is greater. So the program has actually supported young offenders. So we've supported young offenders previously in the cohort that just finished, which was our 6th cohort. We supported a young person with disabilities. And the way that we try and support or comprise our cohorts is always a mix of young people, because we know we're trying to sort of address the problem and address the real risk that young people will be engaged in crime and criminal activities. So we know when we're supporting young offenders, for example, it's all about bringing together a group of young people, taking them out of environments in which they're used to so that they learn how to interact with people from a variety of backgrounds, so that it's not only in terms of the learnings that they have from our team leaders who facilitate the program for the whole 3 months, but actually that peer-to-peer learning. So when they're able to have conversations with people who they would have never have interacted with ordinarily, and learn about them and learn how to, sort of respect differences and to work together. And that's where we see the magic of the program really thrive, because as much as it is a personal and social development program, we see a lot of young people get employed for the first time as a result of participating. Because in our program, we have a work placement which takes place for 2 weeks towards the end, and a lot of those young people are retained. And because they are interacting with other people and building what we call our core skills, which is around confidence, managing their feelings, communications, setting and achieving goals, and leadership skills and things like that, that they are prepared or better prepared than they were before to enter into the world of work and to stay retained within the world of work. Because for us at King's Trust International, it's not just about supporting young people with technical skills to get into the job, but actually those skills that they'll need on the day-to-day to be able to stay within those environments, and so that they're better supported in achieving whatever goals that they have.
And in terms of the delivery, how are you actually achieving that in terms of the training, in terms of the capacity building? I mean, are people coming in to do this? Are you working with local providers? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so I'll talk for 2 perspectives, one what the program actually does, and then one what we do through our partnership. So the program, as I mentioned, is 12 weeks, and it's broken down into sort of 3 main components. So the first week is our induction week. So that's when we have all the young people come in, and that's when they learn about the program. Because whenever you sign up to, I cannot think of the last time I signed up to anything that was 3 months long and had a complete idea of what those 3 months would take me through. So that month is all about acclimatizing them to the program and to each other, and it's really starting to bring in the ethos of team. And so really focused on building their confidence. And
when we say a week, are we speaking about like an 8 to 4?
It's full-time.
It's a full-time program. Okay.
Yeah. So I think, but actually, let me not be misquoted. So I don't know what time they start.
Right, no, I know, but just it's a
full day.
It's a couple of hours.
No, it's a full-time program, which is why them being unattached is a crucial part of our recruitment protocol, because it makes sure that they can fully participate. And then one thing that we do to reduce the barriers to entry is that they receive a transportation stipend and they receive food throughout the whole life cycle of the program. So there's no sort of cost to them to participating. But yeah, so the first week is the induction week where they get to know each other, get to know the facilitators. And then the second week is the residential week. So we actually take them outside of the learning environment and have them live on site with each other for the entire week.
So they're on a retreat for
Basically.
a week. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, and they're only with each other as well as our program staff who are on site 24/7 because safeguarding is very important to us. And the reason that we do that is because that's where you really start to see the magic of the program happening, and they really start to buy into it. And then we take them outside of their normal environments because it's easier when you're just within like your normal ecosystem to sort of slip and slide into those like patterns that you might be trying to break free of. But if you're removed from that and actually around solid support systems that can really help you and champion you trying to make that change for yourself, that it, even for a young person, like gives them the confidence to say, okay, that this is the change that I can make and I can actually achieve it. So throughout that week, they have a bunch of various activities. One of them is a simulation exercise, which looks very fun, and I wish I could participate in it, where we partner with RSS, the Marine Services, Fire Services, and one of the previous examples has been there has been a terrorist who had taken hostages on a boat, and they're all sort of coordinating the hostage situation.
Right.
So it's a really big, complex role play, and like the young people are the point. So basically, they're the ones making the decisions for how to sort of save the hostages.
Right. So they're in the movie.
Yeah, they're starring.
Yeah, okay.
So taking them through simulated activities that they may not have seen, and showing them that they can do things and achieve things. Then they also go on a hike as well, and then they have sort of various physical activities. So the whole point of the week is at the start we see young people come in and say, oh, I can't do this and can't do that. But slowly by surely, week by week, they break that down because they're achieving things that they might have never have assumed that they could, or even with a hike saying, oh no, I'm not that kind of person, or if you put me on the lead for paramedics for supporting a victim, I might not have been able to do that. But throughout the week, we're building their confidence that way. And then in weeks 3 to 6, that's when we start to re-engage them or engage them for the first time with what we call the community project. And that's something that they do for the community. So we like to instill a sense of civic responsibility and duty so that they can see themselves as being a part of something bigger than themselves. And then we have done a variety of things throughout that. So we've done beautification exercises, done beach cleanups. The venue that we primarily use in the South has been an underutilized space. So they've built picnic tables and sort of done beautification and planted trees and things like that. And the young people decide what it is that they want to do. So all of these projects is really the young people making the decisions and the team leaders facilitating it. So it's very democratic. And that's when we start to work on the goals that they set out. So in the induction week, they'll identify a goal for themselves, and then we'll start to sort of work with them throughout weeks 3 to 6. And then week 7 is our next steps week. So that's when we start to bring in those external facilitators where they can start to think about what is it beyond the team program that I might want to do. So whether or not it's moving into employment, if it's moving back into education, so sort of bringing in our local partners to conduct things like CV writing workshops, to conduct mock interviews, to sensitize them to the types of careers and jobs and opportunities that are out there for them. And then in weeks 8 to 9, we do the team challenge, which is something that they do with the community. So again, having a second project where they've done a project before. So we shorten the time that they should be able to complete it, because everything in terms of what their materials and stuff, they fundraise for it. So they have to create their own budgets, figure out how much materials, if they said that they were going to paint the park benches or the picnic tables, how much paint that they will need to do sorts of things like that. And then in weeks 10 to 11, they do their work placement. So each young person is placed with an employer for those 2 weeks. And then, as I mentioned, a lot of the times we see that they are actually retained by that employer. Across our five cohorts, because cohort 6 just ended, we have a 94% positive outcomes rate. So that means that within 5 months of completing the program, the young people move into either employment or into further training or starting their own business. And then week 12 is the celebration week. So that's when we come together to celebrate their achievements. The only requirement to graduate is that they have to give a speech at the end, talking about their journey. And they'll do that in front of their peers, their families, and a variety of invited guests. And that pretty much sums up the program.
Wow, it's very, very engaging, and it feels as if it's a sort of like an intervention in their lives, really, that, 3 months to really pack it in, give them an opportunity to think and breathe and see what the possibilities are. When you say team, what size of cohort are you speaking about?
I think our cohorts have averaged around 12. I think the largest one we've supported has been around 18, but we normally try to keep it between the 12 to 15 range.
Right. And so, of course, so this is what we're going to be seeing this week. You're going to be seeing some of these individuals as well coming forward. And so you would effectively say that after 6 cohorts, you're speaking about over 70 or so students. It's not students, but young people who've actually been able to go through this program.
Yes, so we've supported 80 participants across those 6 cohorts.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, you're seeing the results right now, but I guess it's still pretty early days. Has there been a lot of interest in terms of them furthering their training? What has been, of course, people go through different paths, but what are you seeing in terms of that?
I think by and large, which is understandable, we're seeing the majority of young people move into employment. And for the majority of them, it's their first time being employed full time.
And in terms of like average age, are you seeing them at an earlier age in the late teens? Is that where you're...
Well, we typically, our age range is between 17 and 30, and I'd say that the majority of participants fall between the 20 to 23 if we average out all the ages.
Right. And of course, for this week, what are we expecting to happen?
This week, as I mentioned, we were lucky enough to be awarded at the 2025 King's Trust Awards 2 awards. So our Global Young Achiever awardee, who is Roslyn, and the Global Awards, just for a bit of context, is not only the King's Trust International sort of side of things, where it's not the 20 countries, it also includes our sister charities in New Zealand, in Canada, in the United States, and in Australia. So St. Lucia took the top honor for the global awards, and then for...
How was that determined?
Okay. So we go through a shortlisting exercise. So it's third party. So no, I don't do it.
Yes.
So there's a shortlisting exercise. So there's a nomination process which opens up around this time every single year. So each of our partners will nominate young people for their accomplishments across the 3 award categories that we have. So we have the Global Young Achiever, which recognizes a young person's sort of achievements to personal and social development, and really sort of overcoming challenges and bettering themselves. And then we have our Sustainability Award, which recognizes a young person's commitment to their environment and sustainability initiatives within their own communities and furthering that agenda. And then we have what is called the Amal Clooney Women's Empowerment Award, which is sponsored and patroned by Amal Clooney herself, which recognizes a young woman who is supporting young women throughout her community. And so those are our 3 award categories. So every single year, our delivery partners in King's Trust International and across our sister charities nominate young people who have participated in our programs. Then it gets shortlisted. So at King's Trust International, because we work across Asia, Africa, the Middle East, the Caribbean, and Europe, it gets shortlisted by region first. And then from those names are all submitted for the global awards. So through that shortlisting process, that's how the Young St. Lucian was identified for the Global Young Achiever Award. And then in terms of the Regional Sustainability Award, we were shortlisted. And when you get shortlisted for the region, you've essentially won for your region. So St. Lucia has taken 2 honors
Okay,
at the
wonderful.
King's Trust Awards this year.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great to know that. And we do certainly wish them very well. Rosalind, you said? As well?
Rosalind and Mikhail.
And Mikhail and their achievement there. And hopefully that opens up new opportunities for them.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. We have, of course, been speaking to Nicheza Masakini, and she is the International Programs Manager for the Caribbean for King's Trust International, formerly Prince's Trust International, founded by then the Prince of Wales, now King Charles III, back in 2015. And they've been doing some wonderful work here in St. Lucia, in particular with the Royal St. Lucia Police Force in the south of the island and their community policing activities. And of course, their work spans across 20 countries and the United Kingdom. And we're so very pleased, of course, that you've been able to share with us this week of celebration that you are here for, of course. Any parting thoughts as well to share with us, Nicheza?
I just want to say thank you so much for having us, and just a huge congratulations not only to the young people, but to our incredible and dedicated program staff, particularly those who have been with us since we started. The program would not be what it is today if it wasn't for the dedication of Corporal St. Jean and her team in the Southern Division. So want to extend a massive congratulations to the delivery team, to our partners across the Royal St. Lucian Police Force, of course, our funders, Sandals Foundation and the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, and then our wonderful network of partners who across the south of the island have made the program possible.
And of course, you're being supported by the British High Commission right here
yes,
as well.
This week. Yeah.
Wonderful. And of course, we've been speaking, as I said, to Nicheza Masakini, and she is the International Programs Manager for the Caribbean for King's Trust International. And thank you so very much for sharing with us some of the wonderful work that you're doing and improving the lives and making a difference in the lives of these students. And I'm sure you're hoping to continue this for a pretty long time.
Yes, that's our hope.
Thank you so very much. And of course, that has been our dish of the day here at the Lunchroom. When we come back, we'll be taking in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
It's now time for our weather report, brought to you by Island Style.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from east and east-southeast near 14 miles per hour or 22 kilometers per hour. Weather, fair skies occasionally becoming cloudy with some scattered showers. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles. Fair skies becoming cloudy at times with widely scattered showers, with widely light to moderate showers. The tropical weather outlook. The tropical high pressure system will maintain light to moderate easterly winds across the eastern Caribbean region. During the next few days, pockets of moisture and instability within the wind flow will result in occasional showers over the Lesser Antilles during the forecast period. A tropical wave located over the western tropical Atlantic will be moving westward near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. The wave is expected to affect our region from tomorrow into Thursday. Another tropical wave located over the far eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. Gradual development of the system is expected over the next few days. And that is your weather report brought to you by Island Style.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, of course, as I said, it is about 18 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock. And if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also reach us at our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Let's go to the phone lines at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. How are you doing, sir? Great to hear your voice. What happened to it? It's supposed to be still around. That's a, it doesn't even, well, based on what we're seeing too, for the Palestinian Liberation Organization and their members, the Prime Minister Mahmoud Abbas, he will not be able to travel to the United Nations General Assembly, it would appear, in New York, because it appears that the U.S. State Department has revoked the visas of himself and a number of officials, of Palestinian officials, So they're not even able to go to speak at the United Nations as a result of that action. Clinton? Yes. Sorry, caller, are you there? Sorry, we missed you. You were just telling us. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Well, mm, mm. Well, I can only assume she was being facetious, and she was basically saying that nothing is going to come out of it. I think that is perhaps her intention by making that statement. I don't think she has any faith that anything is going to come of Putin and Trump and their discussions. And as of now, it doesn't appear that way either. But yeah, the matter unfortunately, however, the United States has certainly a major role to play in the whole matter of Gaza and Middle East peace, because they, in fact, are the ones who have the greatest influence on the state of Israel. They are the biggest donors. Israel has for many, many years been the biggest, the largest beneficiary to U.S. aid. And they effectively cannot, exist without the United States and the influence of the United States. Yeah, 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 yeah. They've been selling their arms for quite some time. They've been selling U.S. U.S. ammunition, U.S. missiles and defense systems to Israel for quite some time, and they can't do it without the United States for sure. They would be very much dead in the water, and so I think the U.S. knows this, and of course, but yet still they have maintained Israel, partly because they see Israel as a sort of a check and a base within a base of operation, potentially, if needs be, in the Middle East. So it is that sort of a counterbalance for their own interests there. But that should not justify the kind of treatment that we're seeing right now being meted out towards the Palestinians in Gaza. Yeah, Jordan has been more pro-West. Has been one of the most pro-Western of the Arab countries in the Middle East, and yeah, she's, yes, that's correct. Yes, Queen Noor, is it? But yes, so they definitely have been tended to support U.S. or Western interest more so in that regard. But they also have a significant number of refugees, a number of Palestinians living in Jordan as well, and they too, in fact, are one of the major recipients of aid. Both Jordan and Egypt have benefited on the basis that they would support the status quo with respect to Israel. And so they effectively, I guess you could say, it's almost a neutralizing of it and a paying for peace. The United States has definitely managed that in terms of their aid support in the region, and those three countries, Israel first, but then second and third is Jordan and Egypt, the major beneficiaries there. So I don't know that we're going to be seeing anything changing too soon. Unfortunately, this situation has almost given Mr. Netanyahu a sort of a carte blanche. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I suppose they've tended to be have their own sides as well, Turkey. But I don't know how. Hmm. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Thanks very much, caller, for that contribution. And it is certainly very, very unfortunate, the situation that continues to pan out in the Middle East with respect to the situation in Gaza, and it does not appear that we know what the stance is. The United States at this point and the Trump administration has been very much bolstering the Netanyahu administration, and it is certainly very unfortunate in that regard. Just on some local news, although it is perhaps not any secret of sorts, because that story seemed to have bolted sometime last week. But the St. Lucia Labour Party announces 2 more candidates for the general elections. And this is a press statement coming out today, and it reads as follows. The St. Lucia Labour Party has endorsed the following persons to be its candidates in the constituencies of Choiseul, Saltibus, and Babonneau at the next general elections. They are Mr. Keithson Charles for Choiseul, Saltibus, and Mr. John Paul Estefan for Babonneau. Mr. Keithson Charles is from Choiseul, where he has always resided. He is a supervisor at the Customer Care Transmission and Distribution Division of Lucelec, with responsibility for the southern part of the country. He has been employed with Lucelec for 25 years and is the holder of a certificate in electrical engineering technology and a certificate in management from the UE Arthur Lockjack Global School of Business. Mr. John Paul Estefan is a lecturer in mathematics at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College and holds a master's degree in educational studies from the University of Sheffield in England and a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics from the University of West Indies in Mona. He was a vice president of the St. Lucia Teachers Union. Born in Dennery, he grew up in Debara, Babonneau, where he attended primary school and later became the school's principal. He has a history of community involvement, particularly in sports, as he was an official of the Babonneau Youth and Sports Council and is currently the first vice president of the St. Lucia National Cricket Association. The SLP records its appreciation of the other persons who participated in the party's candidate selection process for these 2 constituencies, and particularly its gratitude to Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot, the Member of Parliament for Babonneau, for her service to the constituency and to the party. The SLP congratulates Mr. Keithson Charles and Mr. John Estefan on their endorsements as it continues its mission to move St. Lucia forward towards continued progress in its economic and social development. And again, that press statement coming out today, September the 2nd, 2025. As I did indicate I think that information has seemingly been circulating for some time, but this is in fact the formal announcement being made by the St. Lucia Labour Party, the ruling party for the time being, and they have indicated their candidates for the constituencies of Choiseul Saltibus. Of course, that constituency is currently held by Mr. Bradley Felix, who is the Member of Parliament, has been the Member of Parliament, is it for 2 terms now? And as well, the constituency of Babonneau is currently held by the St. Lucia Labour Party, with the current Member of Parliament being Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot, who is also the island's Minister for the Public Service and Gender and Labour. And so that announcement, of course, I think completes the entire list of candidates for the St. Lucia Labour Party. You would have noted that there have been announcements in respect of Miku South recently, a new candidate coming up there, and she is Dr. Shanda Harraksing, the daughter of a former candidate, Mrs. Lilia Harraksing, Nurse Lilia Harraksing, who in fact ran for the St. Lucia Labour Party, I think back in the year 2016. She also formerly had run independent before that as well. And so her daughter, who was formerly as well the district medical officer, a medical doctor, will be running that seat for the St. Lucia Labour Party against the leader of the opposition, the Honourable Alan Chasney. And in the case of a few other constituencies, they too have also been announced. The V4 South seat, which was again a former Prime Minister as well holding that seat, former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony, who is of course right now over in Jamaica, and he is heading the OAS, Organization of American States, Observer Mission for the upcoming general elections in Jamaica, and he has bowed out of elective politics, at least for the time being, as far as we know, and he is being replaced by Mr. Danny Butcher. And in the case of Castries Southeast, another change of a sitting parliamentarian. In this instance, the Honourable Joachim Henry. He held that constituency, still is the Member of Parliament for that constituency, and had been since July of 2021. And he is also retiring, and the hopeful there for the St. Lucia Labour Party is Senator Lisa Jawahir, and she'll be going up against the deputy political leader of the United Workers' Party, who currently does not have a seat, but was formerly the MP for, was it like 3 terms, since 2006, 2011, and 2016, where he was successful in being elected. That is Mr. Guy Joseph. So it would appear that all the parties have their candidates in place. The United Workers' Party, of course, is hoping to unveil or to launch all of its candidates in an upcoming rally or meeting, and this time happening down in the constituency of Miku South, I suppose in their base country, in their base region, the seat that they have held for pretty much a very long time, except in the instance of Mr. Casillas, who won that seat for the St. Lucia Labour Party back in 1997. So, very interesting situation at play there, and we'll have to wait and see how the local elections continues to pan out. Of course, we are awaiting word out of Guyana, and there, of course, elections, the voting occurred yesterday for a new parliament, new Guyanese parliament to be elected, as well as for local elections. And the major parties, of course, the traditional parties, PPP Civic, as well the Partnership for National Unity, or the APNU, and a more incoming party, that of WIN, it's called, We Invest in Nationhood. They are in the mix right now. And of course, the Guyana Elections Commission has indicated that they hope to see the results out by the 4th. So in 2 days, we should know where things stand. In the case of Guyana, let's not forget they use a proportional representation system. So the parties do carry significant weight in that regard, as opposed to here in St. Lucia, we use a first-past-the-post system. It only requires a majority plus one in each seat for you to win. So just theoretically, purely theoretically, in the case of St. Lucia, 17 people well placed in each constituency could in fact determine the outcome of the general elections. And that is effectively what it means in the case of elections here in St. Lucia. A little different in the case of proportional representation systems, of course, where parties get seats apportioned to them based on their overall turnout. Of course, it therefore means that it's a lot more difficult to see the kind of whitewashing or redwashing that occurs, or depending on the party in power, like in Barbados, for example, right now, an entire parliament of the Barbados Labour Party, of course, barring the fact that one gentleman who decided to take up perhaps a lucrative position as leader of the opposition, and he left the ruling party for that purpose. But effectively, we can see scenarios such as 17-0 or 16-1, as we saw back in the year 1997. But of course, the popular vote tends to be a lot closer than what seems to be. Of course, in the case of Jamaica, very interesting state of play there. And we're seeing Andrew Holness looking to get another term for his Jamaica Labour Party, and is up against Mr. Mark Golding's People's National Party. PNP, they're hoping to try to get back in. Mr. Golding, born Jamaican lawyer, parentage, however, coming out of the United Kingdom. I think his father was a long-standing surgeon, professor over at UWI Mona. His mother also being a doctor, with mixed Jamaican and British origins as well. And he's heading, he himself being a lawyer as well as an investment banker. At one point in time was also leading one of Jamaica's first indigenous investment banking firms, alongside Mr. Chris Daring, who was our guest not too long ago and has now taken up another position at the West Indies Cricket Board. So certainly we're going to see how that all pans out tomorrow in the case of Jamaica and their seats. I think it's about 62 seats or thereabouts up for grabs for the parliament there. And there are polls out, and we won't quote the polls for the time being. We just have to wait to see what happens very, very soon. That's our program for today. Hope you can join us again tomorrow for another program of The Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., saying goodbye.